Multiple people are feared dead and injured after mass shootings at a pair of locations in Lewiston, Maine last night. And the United Auto Workers says it's reached a tentative deal with Ford. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Multiple people are feared killed and injured in Maine after mass shootings last night. Police are still hunting for a suspect named Robert Card. NPR's Martin Costi reports there was a shooting rampage through the town of Lewiston last night.
The first report of an active shooter came from a bowling alley called Spare Time Recreation, and dispatch radio quickly reported the shooter's description, as recorded here by Broadcastify.com.
Going to be a male, black hair with a hoodie, looked like a rifle.
But even as police units were still headed there, calls started coming in from a restaurant on the other side of town.
So we're going to divert our units to Schmengi's right now, another active shooter there.
Police scrambled to shut down all the local bars and restaurants, and soon dispatch radio had reports of another possible target, something they said they'd learned from a family member of the potential suspect.
Apparently the family member was told by him that that's where he was going next, is Mixers.
But that bar, Mixers, wasn't open last night. Martin Costi, NPR News.
A shelter-in-place order remains in Lewiston and now in the town of Bowdoin in the neighboring county. The UN Security Council has failed to pass a U.S.-backed resolution on the war between Israel and Hamas militants. A competing measure offered by Russia didn't pass either. Linda Fasulo reports the UN General Assembly could vote as soon as today on a non-binding resolution.
The U.S. draft Security Council resolution did not call for a ceasefire, but rather for humanitarian pauses to permit access to aid in Gaza. It also demanded the release of all hostages held by Hamas, compliance with international law, and reaffirmed the right of all states to self-defense. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, described the vetoes by Russia and China as a setback, but said the U.S. won't be deterred from working to build a peaceful future for Israelis and Palestinians. Russia's proposed measure, which called for a humanitarian ceasefire, received 4 votes. Meanwhile, the General Assembly is likely to vote on a draft resolution proposed by Jordan that calls for an immediate ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian access. For NPR News, I'm Linda Fasulo.
The United Auto Workers Union has reached a tentative contract agreement with Ford. The proposed deal offers members a 25% pay increase and increases for retirees. The UAW is still on strike against General Motors and Stellantis, the successor company to Chrysler. NPR's Don Gagne says members are seeking to regain what they once had.
They cite the huge profits these companies are making and harken back to 2008, 2009, when General Motors and Chrysler both went through bankruptcy. All 3 companies were in trouble, and the UAW gave up big concessions to help them survive.
NPR's Don Gagne reporting. You're listening to NPR News.